Welcome to Truthful Manipulation. In a world where truth is bent, facts are framed, and influence is too often used without conscience, this podcast stands for something different. I'm Dave Kelsey, along with H. Daniel Mujahid, and together we expose manipulation, defend integrity, and help you see clearly in a world determined to confuse you. Welcome back to Truthful Manipulation. I'm Dave.
And I'm Daniel.
And today we're asking a question that may explain politics, family arguments, bad business decisions, cults, Facebook comments, and at least half of the Thanksgiving dinner.
So basically, we're talking about human civilization after Wi-Fi.
Yeah, pretty much. Today's question is this. When people are shown the truth, why do they double down on the lie?
Because some people would rather wrestle a bear in a phone booth than to say I was wrong.
And that's actually where psychology begins. Once a person has repeated a lie, defended it publicly, and attached a reputation to it, the truth no longer feels like information. It feels like humiliation.
So on point, the truth walks in with receipts, and they act like the truth is being rude.
The truth says, here are the facts, and they say, why are you attacking me?
Nobody's attacking you, Kevin. The fact just shows up wearing work boots.
That's the strange thing about truth. It doesn't have to shout, it doesn't have to wear a costume, and it doesn't have to bring a marching band. It just stands there.
And some people still look at it and say, I don't like your tone.
The truth has no tone. The truth has evidence.
And evidence is apparently very offensive to people who built a lifestyle around nonsense.
So today we're not just talking about lies. We're talking about what happens when the lie becomes part of someone's identity. We're talking about pride. We're talking about shame. And we're talking about tribe. We're talking about manipulation. And yes, we're talking about why some people defend the lie like it has dental benefits.
And I want to say this early in this discussion. If the truth has been shown to you and you still choose the lie, at some point you do not have a misunderstanding. You have a membership.
A membership, a tote bag, a parking place, and possibly a bumper sticker.
The lie is not strong. Their pride is fragile.
And when pride feels threatened, the brain starts acting like a lawyer with no case and a very loud tie. Let's start with the biggest reason people double down. The lie is no longer a statement. It becomes a self-portrait.
And that's the problem. They did not just believe the lie, they moved in the house with it.
And then they repeated it. They posted it. They argued with relatives about it. They defended it at work. They brought it to the Thanksgiving table right between the mashed potatoes and the nervous silence.
And somehow the lie always sits next to the loudest voice, the loudest uncle.
Exactly. Once a person invests time, emotion, reputation, and relationships into a lie, changing their mind doesn't feel like learning. It feels like losing. And human beings hate losing face. We would rather change the facts than change our ego.
Which is a fancy way of saying some people would rather argue with gravity than admit they fell down.
And that's why the truth can be so threatening. The truth's not just saying, this thing is false. The truth's saying, you may have built part of yourself on something false. And that's hard. That hurts. That's embarrassing. Nobody likes to look back and say, I was manipulated. I was misled. I helped carry the water for someone who did not care about me.
Nobody wants to realize they were not the hero in the story. They were the guy holding the ladder for the thief.
And when that realization gets too painful, people reach for defense mechanism, denial, anger, projection, whataboutism, attacking the messenger, changing the subject, calling everything fake, saying, well, both sides.
Yeah, both sides. The emergency exit for people who park their integrity in a towaway zone.
The brain's trying to protect the self-image. So instead of saying, I need to rethink this, the person says, I need to defend myself. And once they feel attacked, the conversation is no longer about truth. It's about survival.
Survival? Dave, we are talking about someone being shown a screenshot, not chased by a tiger.
True, but emotionally, that screenshot can feel like a tiger if it threatens their pride.
Then maybe the pride needs a helmet, huh?
Or a mirror. Here's the lesson. When a lie becomes part of identity, truth feels like identity theft.
And that's when people call the police on reality. Your Honor, my client feels strongly, therefore the facts should apologize.
Objection sustained by the comment section, but overruled by reality. Pride may be the worst lawyer human beings ever hire.
Pride walks into the court with no evidence, no witnesses, no timeline, no facts, and this says, Your Honor, I have vibes.
And ego stands up and says, objection. The truth makes my client uncomfortable.
And half the room says, sustained.
That's how people get trapped. They don't double down because the lie is strong. They double down because admitting the truth would make them feel weak.
Which is backwards. Admitting you were wrong is not weakness. Continuing to be wrong after the facts arrive is weakness with a megaphone.
Right, but pride changes the math. Pride tells people, if you admit the truth, they win.
Who is this they?
Sometimes they is just the voice of accountability wearing clean shoes.
Yeah, and people hate clean shoes when they are standing in mud.
Pride says, don't apologize, don't correct yourself, don't admit you were manipulated, dig deeper.
That's like getting on the wrong highway and saying, well, I already drove 20 miles, might as well continue until the ocean.
Exactly. That's called escalation of commitment. The more you invest in a bad belief, the harder it gets to walk away from it.
I like that. Escalation of commitment. That sounds better than I made a bad decision and now I am decorating.
But that's what it is. People decorate the lie. They add reasons. They add excuses. They add conspiracies. They add villains. They add emotional furniture.
And then they say, look how nice this lie looks with curtains.
The longer they stay in it, the harder it becomes to leave, because leaving means admitting the time, energy, and loyalty they spent defending something false.
So instead of paying the truth bill, they open up a new credit card in the name of stupidity.
That's a painful line, but it's accurate. And here's the key. The truth's not trying to humiliate them. The truth's trying to free them.
But pride hears freedom and says, sounds suspicious to me.
Pride turns correction into insult. It turns evidence into attack. And it turns accountability into persecution.
Yep. And it turns adults into people who suddenly forget how facts work.
So the first step out of the lie is humility, not humiliation, humility. The ability to say, I saw new information and I'm strong enough to adjust.
Now that's not weakness. That's having a functioning brain with manners.
Exactly. This episode is brought to you by Truthful Manipulation, a roadmap to live by.
A book for anybody tired of being lied to by people with better lighting, louder microphones, and worse intentions.
We wrote Truthful Manipulation to help people recognize how influence works in politics, business, religion, relationships, media, and everyday life.
Because manipulation does not always walk in wearing a villain costume. Sometimes it walks in with a slogan, a smile, a title, and a PowerPoint deck that should have been illegal after slide 12.
The goal's not to make people cynical. The goal's to make people aware. Awareness with integrity.
And if you are going to be influenced, at least know who is holding the steering wheel.
Visit truthfulmanipulation.com to learn more about the book, the podcast, the message.
Truthfulmanipulation.com. Because the truth should not be needing to come in a disguise. And now back to the show.
One of the strangest things about human behavior is that people often get angrier at the person telling the truth than at the person who lied to them.
That one makes me want to throw a shoe, Dave. The liar burns down the house, and the truth teller gets blamed for pointing at the smoke.
Because the truth teller creates a decision point. Because the truth shows up, a person can pretend they don't know, but once the truth is visible, they have to choose.
Do I grow up? Do I make this weird?
This is the basic fork in the road.
And a lot of people choose, make this weird.
The truth teller forces a person to ask, do I apologize? Do I rethink? Do I change direction? Do I admit I was wrong? Or do I attack the person who made me uncomfortable?
And suddenly the person telling the truth is divisive.
Right. But the truth didn't create the division. The lie created the division. The truth just revealed where the crack already was.
That's like blaming the flashlight for the mess in the basement.
Exactly. And when people are committed to the lie, they don't want a flashlight. They want a mood light.
They want the basement to look romantic while the water heater is exploding.
And there's another reason the truth teller becomes the enemy. The truth interrupts the emotional benefit of the lie. A lie often gives people something. It gives them certainty. It gives them a villain. It gives them a tribe. It gives them permission to feel superior. It gives them a story where they don't have to be responsible.
And people love a story when they are the hero and everyone else needs a software update.
Truth takes that away. Truth says, you may need to own your part.
And then people say, I did not order accountability.
But accountability is how integrity breathes. Without it, integrity becomes a slogan.
And slogans are cheap. Integrity has a bill.
So if you're the truth teller, you have to understand this. You may not be hated because you're wrong. You may be hated because you made it harder for someone to lie to themselves.
That's it. People do not always hate the truth because it's false. They hate it because it's accurate. Do not blame me because your basement has raccoons and expired yogurt.
The flashlight didn't create the mess. It just stopped you from calling it decor. This is where truthful manipulation comes in. Manipulators understand the double down. They count on it.
Of course they do. Manipulators do not just sell the lie. They sell the emotional insurance policy around the lie.
They know that once somebody publicly defends a lie, that person becomes emotionally invested. Now the manipulator doesn't have to do all the work. The follower starts defending the lie for free.
Free labor for nonsense. That should be a tax category.
A manipulator makes the lie feel like loyalty. They make people feel chosen, special, awake, brave, patriotic, faithful, smarter than everyone else.
More awake, huh? Some people are so awake they have not blinked since 2016.
That's the trap the manipulator makes questioning the lie feel like betrayal. So people stop asking, is this true? And start asking, am I being loyal?
And once loyalty replaces truth, congratulations, you are no longer thinking. You are doing customer service for the lie.
And that's powerful because customer service for the lie has no lunch break. People will defend it all day. They'll stay up late arguing online. They'll ruin relationships. They will protect the manipulator more than the manipulator protects them.
Because the manipulator is smart enough to make the victim think the cage is a VIP section.
Exactly. The lie becomes a bridge. The lie becomes proof that you belong. And when truth challenges it, the person feels like their membership is at risk.
Nobody wants to be kicked out of the club, even if the club meets in a dumpster behind a conspiracy website.
That is tribe. That is powerful. Tribe can comfort people, protect people, give them identity. But tribe can also trap people when belonging becomes more important than truth.
And when the tribe says, do not look over there, that is usually where the truth is waving both arms.
The healthiest communities can handle truth. The most manipulative communities punish people for asking questions.
Yep, that's because questions are bad for people selling bad answers.
A manipulator's greatest victory is not getting someone to believe a lie once. It's getting them to defend the lie after the truth arrives.
And if they can get you to attack the truth teller, they have upgraded you from customer to employee.
Let me take a moment and speak directly to anyone listening who is building a business, leading a team, raising a family, teaching a class, running a church, coaching a group, or simply trying to stay decent in a world that keeps rewarding the opposite. Truthful manipulation is not a phrase, it's a discipline. It means understanding influence without losing your integrity. It means using awareness, truth, morals, and ethics as tools, not weapons. Because influence is everywhere. The question is not whether people are being influenced. The question is, who's doing it? Why are they doing it? And does it make you more free or more controlled? And that's why we wrote the book. And that's why we do the podcast. And that's the message matters. Truth without courage stays quiet. Courage without truth becomes dangerous. But truth with integrity can change the room. Visit truthfulmanipulation.com. Read the book. Share the podcast. Start the conversation. Because the lie gets stronger when good people get tired. And don't think we can't afford to be tired anymore. Now back to this week's episode. Let's talk about shame, because shame is one of the hidden engines behind the double down.
Shame is the little gremlin in the corner saying, do not admit it. Just make the hole deeper.
Nobody wants to admit they were fooled. Nobody wants to admit they were used. And nobody wants to admit they helped spread something that hurt other people. So instead of facing the shame, they protect the lie.
Because apparently saying, I made a mistake, is harder than turning your whole personality into a warning label.
But shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am wrong.
And once shame gets involved, people start acting like every correction is a personal attack from a tiny courtroom inside their chests.
Exactly. So the goal's not to shame people into truth. Shame often makes people hide deeper. The goal is to make truth strong enough and safe enough that people can come back to it without feeling destroyed.
Hear ye, I agree. But I would also like people to stop making it so difficult.
That's fair.
Some people act like admitting one mistake requires a congressional hearing, a marching band, and 3 emotional support yarmulkes.
And yet the simple sentence would set them free. I was wrong.
4 syllables, 1 miracle.
Or I was manipulated. That one's harder because it touches identity, but it is also the door out.
Now, being manipulated doesn't make you stupid. Refusing to learn after you see it, now we are having a different conversation.
That's important. We have to separate being deceived from choosing deception. Everyone can be fooled. Everyone has blind spots. Everyone has trusted the wrong person at some point.
If you've never been fooled, you are either lying or you have not bought a printer recently.
Printers are proof that humanity still has unresolved issues.
Printers are manipulation with a paper tray.
But seriously, the moral failure is not being wrong. The moral failure is refusing correction because your ego is louder than your integrity.
And that's the heart of it. The lie protects the ego. The truth exposes the cost.
And when people are not ready to pay the cost, they double down like the lie has a reward program.
Congratulations! You have earned 500 points towards your next bad decision.
Redeemable for 1 free argument, 2 strained relationships, and a limited edition shame spiral. Here's another way to look at it. Some people don't just believe a lie, they adopt it.
Feed it.
They walk it.
They buy a little sweater even.
They name it patriotism, faith, loyalty, freedom, research, common sense, or I saw a video.
Anytime someone says, I did my own research, I want you to ask, was the research peer-reviewed or did it have a guy yelling in a truck?
And when you say, that thing is not true, they react like you insulted the family dog.
Now, do not talk about Biscuit like that, Dave.
Meanwhile, Biscuit's been chewing through democracy, ethics, family dinners, and basic math.
Biscuit needs a muzzle and a civics class.
The pet metaphor works because people protect what feels familiar, even if the belief is harming them, can still feel like theirs. It gives them comfort. It gives them routine. It gives them a sense of certainty.
Comfortable and wrong. A recliner with a blindfold.
And certainty is addictive. The truth can be messy. The truth may require nuance. The truth may require us to hold 2 ideas at once.
Some people cannot hold 2 ideas, Dave. They are still trying to find the first one.
But a lie often gives people a simple story. Good guys and bad guys, us and them, pure and corrupt, loyal and traitor. That kind of story is emotionally easy.
Easy is not always honest. Fast food is easy too. But that does not make a gas station hot dog a nutrition plan.
And that's why integrity requires discipline. It requires us to ask, is this true? Who benefits if I believe it? What would change my mind? Am I defending this because it's accurate or because it's mine?
Now that last question could save a lot of people. Is it true or is it just mine?
Because a lie you own still owns you.
And some people are out here paying rent to nonsense. Before we go further, here's a question. What are you doing for the next 30 days to strengthen your integrity?
Not your image, not your brand, not your excuse machine, your integrity.
That's where the truthful manipulation message becomes practical. Awareness is not enough if it never becomes action.
One practice we talk about is simple. Commit to the truth long enough, it becomes a habit. Pay attention to where you're being influenced. Ask better questions. Notice emotional pressure. Slow down before you react.
And when someone tries to sell you a lie with a patriotic soundtrack and a discount code, take a breath.
Truthful manipulation is about learning the tools of influence so you can use them ethically, recognize them quickly, and refuse to be controlled by them blindly.
The world has enough people yelling. It needs more people with backbone, morals, ethics, and a working relationship with reality.
Visit truthfulmanipulation.com for the podcast, the book, and more. truthfulmanipulation.com.
Because integrity should not be a special occasion outfit. And now, back to the closing part of this week's show.
Now let's talk about cost, because doubling down on a lie is not free.
Yeah, nothing is free, especially bad decisions. They charge interest.
At first, the cost may look small. One argument, one post, one excuse, one little compromise.
Just a tiny integrity leak, huh?
But over time, the leak becomes structural. Families stop trusting each other. Friends stop talking. Business reward manipulation. Churches protect the powerful instead of the faithful. And countries start confusing volume with truth.
And everybody acts surprised when the roof caves in, huh?
A lie defended long enough does not just distort facts, it corrodes character. Character is built in those moments when the truth costs us something. It's easy to support truth when it makes us look smart, brave, and right. The test comes when the truth embarrasses us.
Character shows up when the facts embarrass you.
And that's the line. Character shows up when the facts embarrass you. When the truth proves you were wrong. Do you correct yourself or do you attack the person who bought the facts?
Do you adjust or do you start tap dancing in the parking lot of denial?
And here's where truthful manipulation standard matters. If we believe in truth, morals, ethics, and integrity, then truth cannot only matter when it helps our side.
Selective truth is just a lie wearing a nicer jacket.
Exactly. Integrity means we don't outsource our conscience to a party, leader, business, church, tribe, platform, influencer, or billionaire with a microphone.
Especially the billionaire with the microphone. That guy already has enough toys.
Integrity means asking the same questions of our own side that we ask of the other side.
That's when people start sweating.
But that's the cost of truth. It's not a weapon to swing at enemies. It's a mirror we have to look into ourselves.
And mirrors don't care about your talking points.
The longer somebody doubles down, the more expensive it gets to come back. But the path back is still there. Humility, accountability, correction, apology, repair.
4 words people treat like they require a passport.
And if we can make those words normal again, we can reduce the power of manipulation.
Yeah, that's accountability, correction, apology, and repair. Now, the lie said, buy now, pay later. Later has arrived with a clipboard.
And the clipboard has receipts, interest, penalties, and one very disappointed grandmother. So how do we stop doubling down on lies? How do we train ourselves to choose truth even when it's uncomfortable?
Well, step 1, stop treating your first opinion like it came down from Mount Sinai laminated.
That's step 1.
Well, people have an opinion for 6 minutes and start defending it like it is family property.
We need to build a habit of intellectual humility. That means saying, here's what I think right now, but I'm willing to update if the facts change.
Now, that sentence alone would shut down half the internet.
Step 2, separate your worth from your opinion. Being wrong about a fact doesn't mean you are worthless. It means you received new information.
Yes, indeed. You're allowed to update the software. You don't have to throw the whole computer into a lake.
And step 3, ask who benefits from your belief. If someone needs you angry, afraid, loyal, or divided in order to keep your power, slow down.
If they need you furious 24 hours a day, they are not informing you. They are farming you.
Step 4, watch your emotional reactions. If a fact makes you immediately defensive, ask why. Is the fact wrong, or does it threaten a story you've been telling yourself?
And if your first instinct is to insult the messenger, maybe check whether the messenger is holding a receipt.
And step 5, practice correction out loud. Say, I got that wrong. Say, I need to rethink that. Say, I should not have repeated that.
Say it slowly if you need to. Nobody expects you to bench press humility on the first day.
The more we normalize correction, the less shame owns us. And the less shame owns us, the less manipulators can trap us into our own pride.
Because manipulators are not afraid of your opinions. They are afraid of your ability to change your mind when truth demands it.
That's freedom, not stubbornness. Freedom's not saying, I will never change. Freedom's saying, I'm not owned by a lie.
And some of us need to evict the lie, change the locks, cancel the cable, tell the lie to take its own little sweater and go.
Or Biscuit.
Poor Biscuit. Biscuit had it coming.
So when people are shown the truth and they double down on the lie, the question's not only, why can't they see it? The deeper question is, what are they protecting?
Their pride, their tribe, their image, their comfort, their fear, their paycheck?
Because the lie is usually not standing alone. It's guarding something. And when the truth threatens that something, people don't always wake up. Sometimes they go to war.
Which is why the truth needs courage. Not just volume, courage.
Truth without courage stays quiet. Courage without truth becomes reckless. But truth with integrity can change people, family, businesses, churches, institutions, and nations.
And it can save you from becoming a full-time employee of a part-time lie.
That's the truthful manipulation point. The goal's not to shame people from being wrong. The goal's to teach people how to recognize manipulation, choose truth, and rebuild integrity before the lie starts collecting rent.
Yeah, because once the truth has been shown to you, let's stop dressing it up. If you keep choosing the lie, that is not confusion. That's participation.
At some point, you're no longer a victim of manipulation. You've become a volunteer.
And some people are not just volunteering. They are wearing the uniform in their churches, their schools, in the mosques, in the temples, in the gift shops, and asking if the lie has dental benefits.
Truth doesn't need a costume.
Lies usually come overdressed.
With a flag, a Bible, a slogan, a suit, a title, a microphone, and a whole lot of confidence.
And confidence is not the same thing as truth.
No, confidence just means the lie has good posture. This has been Truthful Manipulation. I'm Dave.
And I'm Daniel.
Choose truth before the lie starts charging rent.
And check the couch for raccoons.
That's been this week's episode of Truthful Manipulation. Please comment on today's show at truthfulmanipulation@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at truthfulmanipulation.com. Pick up a copy of our book, Truthful Manipulation, A Roadmap to Live By. It'll help you see these manipulations in your life and work through them. Thank you very much for listening to our show, and pass this on to somebody you think would appreciate it. Have a good week. Thank you and goodbye.